Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Damocles. I'm your host, Jim Buchanan, and tonight I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess I'm going to go, you know what, let's do top 15. Top 15 games that were new to me in 2021. Now, they may or may not have been released in 2021, so there we go. But these are games that I played for the first time this year. Okay, so, well, last year. It's 2022. So last year, as many of you probably did too, I started out the year of 2021 working from home, playing games from home online on Tuesday nights. That's always been my thing, and that's always been our thing. We play on Tuesday nights. Well, hate to say it, but we were online in Tabletopia and doing a lot of that for the better part of 2020 and, well, then, March all the way through, as well as, almost the entirety of 2021 too. We really, I say that's not entirely true, that we started back up in person, I think, in maybe it was June, July, when everybody could get vaxxed. So it must have been July. It was after we got back from our trip. So either way, so I'm going to go through. I'm going to talk about probably the top 15. I'll read off some of the other ones that are on my list and kind of where they are, because I think it is. I think we'll be. I think you'll be a little bit surprised about where some things show up, just kind of where some things are. Talk about kind of where I played them. And yeah, I've got 59 games that I played this year that were new to me. All right, and I'll go ahead and tell you, Savannah Park was at the bottom of that list. That was number 59 for me. 58 was City Skylines. 57 was Cloud Age. It just wasn't what I expected it to be. And I think that's my problem, right? But I'm not saying it's a bad game. Again, there's maybe one or two of these that I would say, it's not really a good game. But I didn't like Savannah Park. Let me just say that. City Skylines is fine. I actually think it would be great as a two-player game. It's cooperative, but I think it'd be great as a two-player game. So, whatever. But that's just me. So I'll start here with number 20. Number 20 for me is going to be Caverna, the Cave Farmers. This is the first time I've played that. That was fun. It is not Agricola in Caves. It is a little bit different. It's a very similar game too, but it is not Agricola in Caves. I really liked it. I had a lot of fun playing that game, and it's really good. I can't wait to get it out and play it with more people. I played it solo, played it a few times now. It was really fun, and I really like it. But obviously that's Uwe Rosenberg. It's been out for, I think, since 2015. It got an expansion recently. I didn't play with that. I have it, but I didn't play with that. I'll probably do another video on kind of the inserts that I've done several for. I've got one for Caverna right now that's a 3D printed one. It's got some really cool elements to it, and it's got some stuff I don't love. It's really hard to get. You can't get the box back down. And then I've got another one of those. I've got an insert for it from Folded Space. So we're going to see how that works out and see if I like that one. All right, but that is my number 20 is Caverna, the Cave Farmers. Number 19 is Quantum. And yeah, I know, it's been around since 2013, and you can play it for free online and all of that. I'd never played it before. I borrowed it from a friend that's sitting on my other table over there. I can't wait to play it. I'm going to try to play that with my wife. That is a fun game. Super duper simple from a not being good at it and not necessarily even just playing it, but the concept, the idea, and just the components are great. I mean, for what it is, it's just these big chunky dice, and they're different ships because of the pips that are on it. It was pretty great. I loved it. That was a really fun game. That was my number 19. The next one has also been out for a little over a year, and this is Vladimir Suchi, and it's Praga Kaput Regni. I played this at BGG with some guys who'd played it a lot, and they trounced me. But that's okay. I get trounced a lot in the first time I've played games. A lot. And there are other games that I just make dumb decisions, and there we go, I get trounced again. But this game, Praga Kaput Regni, has some really cool little elements of building Prague, where it's got the road that you're building, it's got the fortifications, and it's got the map out there that you're putting stuff on. It's got so many different ways to score, and the little components that as they run around, I gotta say, for a Rio Grande game, it's pretty good. I really wish that they had done the original production of Underwater Cities as well as they did this game, but this is really fantastic. It's a good game. The production is good. Again, how you earn or how you track how much gold or whatever that you've got, or your eggs and all that, I mean, it's really cool. The big giant wheel as far as your action selection that you do, I'm sorry, but that is fantastic. I loved it. Great presentation, really fun game, very deep, really good. Really liked Praga Kaput Regni. My number 17 is Indonesia from Splotter. I mean, I don't know what else to say other than that game is Hostile Takeover the game. And it's wonderful. It is absolutely outstanding. I cannot wait to get my bigger game group playing this game. It'll have to be the right people because it is not an appealing game from a components look kind of a thing. It doesn't look that great. But very few of the Splotter games do. I think the only one that looks fantastic now is Bus, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It is a fantastic game. The gameplay far outshines the look of that game, and there's a few other games on my list that are like that too. But that is Indonesia. If you haven't played it, again, it is Hostile Takeover. It's wonderful. My number 16 is Dune Imperium, and the reason it's number 16 is because of another game that's on my list that I feel like is similar, not the same, similar. I like Dune Imperium a lot. Let me tell you, the games above this are all really fun and really good. So I'm just going to tell you that my number 16 at Dune Imperium shouldn't be seen as a slight towards Dune Imperium. All right, it is a really fun game. I enjoy it a lot. I love the theme. I like Dune, but it's not my favorite, and I think that probably brings it down just a little bit for me. My number 15 was Feudum. I finally got that game to the table. Man, that is a beast. But it is a lot of fun, too. This is a really darn good game. And I gotta say, you can't go wrong with getting that game out on the table and playing it. It is really good. I played it solo. I didn't love it because it was my first time playing, and there's so much you have to learn about what you can do, and then you have to learn about how the solo player plays. That was frustrating. Played it again as kind of a two-hand thing, me versus myself sort of deal. That was a lot of fun, and there's not a lot of games that will give you that much fun. And maybe part of that is because it's new to me. But Feudum, with all the components, all the art, all the cool stuff that you can do, all the little, things that are like, oh, well, if you are, if you're on the board with this guild, then you can be, a journeyman here, or you're going to be an apprentice, or you can be a master because you've got the most. This is just so cool. There's just a lot, though. There's a lot. The play itself isn't that bad. The iconography, isn't that bad. It's really pretty good. And, it's fairly intuitive. The upkeep part of it is going to take you a little bit. I will give a shout out to John Gets Games. I watched his whole video on how to play that game. That helped a lot. The thing I think that he did that really helped a lot was he had those dice up there to track what their value was in each of those guilds. His 3 or 4 players that he was playing with. That was smart. I have adopted that. I don't remember if I'm using D10s or D6s, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's really good. That's a smart idea, and that's really helpful. You know, in player color, doing that is really a fantastic and outstanding thing to do. But that is Feudum. I really recommend that game. It was a lot of fun. My number 14 is a game that has not released yet, but we did play it on Tabletop Simulator or one of those things, and that is the Age of Atlantis. That was a really cool game. I cannot wait to see this with the components where you put people in the chariot and the flying stuff going across. Oh yeah, it was outstanding. If you go back and take a look at that Kickstarter, if you didn't kickstart it, it's too late now. Late pledge is over. Wait for that game to hit retail, if it does. If it doesn't, look on BGG, see if you can find somebody else's copy. Really cool, fun game. Multiple tracks, multiple ways to score. Yeah, it was great. My number 13 is from Vital Lacerda, and that's Kanban EV. It's exactly what you would expect from Vital Lacerda. Big, heavy, lots of decisions, lots of interactivity between players, lots of ways to block people out or to make it more costly for them to do actions. Unbelievably good. And then there's the game that hates you. Right? Because that admin that runs up and down and grades you on stuff all the time, man, thank goodness I don't work for her. You know, I know that I can't remember the woman's name off the top of my head right now. I think that's his wife's name, I think is what I saw. But yeah, if I was her, I'd be mad. But either way, in all seriousness, what a game. It really does punish you if you don't meet that standard or you're the lowest in that group. So you really have to follow where that's going to be, and you can come in and manipulate where that's going to go and push somebody into a really bad spot. If you go here, and then or somebody goes into one section and you're like, oh, well, she's going to skip over that if I go to this spot, and I need that, so I'm going to go there. And I'm going to force her to skip over and go here where this other person's going to have to go. And it really does make it really hard. But it is a lot of fun. Kanban EV was outstanding. I have not played with the expansions yet, but we are going to get that one back out at Old Game Night, and we'll play that one again here soon. My number 12 is Furnace. I think this was my number 3 for games. Just kind of tell you where we are. This is my number 3 for games released in 2021. So, Furnace was outstanding. This is a great game. Similar to Gizmos in a lot of ways. A little bit different in the way that it plays and the way you do the voting or the bidding, maybe is a better way to put that. You bid on cards, and if you have the highest bid, you get the card. If you've got a lower bid of, say, you have these discs that are numbered 1 through 4. If you put a 3 on it, then you get to multiply the top row action, which is usually get resources or convert resources. But either way, you get that. And you get that multiplied by whatever that number is. That's a wonderful mechanic. It is really great. If you don't win, you still get something. And sometimes getting something is better than winning the card. So that is Furnace. Highly recommend that game. Really great. My number 11 is another Uwe Rosenberg game. It probably is my favorite Uwe Rosenberg. I love Agricola, but Lahav is unbelievably good. It really, really is. It is an outstanding game. Really, really well done. I cannot get enough of it. I would play this game every week solo if I didn't have so many other games that I need to play. It is really good. Cannot recommend this one enough. It is, if you like Uwe Rosenberg games and you have not played Lahav, get out there, buy a copy, play it. Solo or with people, doesn't matter. It is an outstanding and wonderful game. You have to feed your people, of course, but it's not I don't feel like the pressure to meet that goal was as difficult or as hard as, say, it was in Agricola sometimes, or even Caverna sometimes. It is choosing the path and what buildings you're gonna buy or construct and own, choosing that path of how you're going to go about getting your victory points, that's where this game is. There's a lot of different ways you can maximize it. I feel like Lahav does a really good job of giving you more opportunities. It is a little less punishing than Agricola. When first turn you mess up in Agricola and, well, you've got another 45 minutes to an hour to stew in your misery. Which is not as bad as Food Chain Magnate, which is if you screw up in the first or second turn, you have another 3 hours to stew in your misery. Or maybe less, depending on how good you are at the game or everybody else around you. Anyway, great game. Lahav, highly recommend it. That is my number 11. All right, my number 10 is Tabanusi Builders of Er. This is one of those tea games from Board and Dice along the lines of Teotihuacan, Tekenu, Tawantinsuyu, Tabanusi, right? Very good game. Really like it. I like the way you put people out onto the board. You build up things, you kind of convert it and take things over. I like the architect that you move around, kind of saying this is what my next action is going to be. You're deciding, okay, I'm going to do this one, and then this is going to be my next one. I really like that. That is a very I don't think I've seen that mechanic somewhere before, and I think if it is out there, it is underused. Not every game needs it, but this game does it extremely well. Waiting for this one to release in the US. I don't have mine yet. I think the original date was November the 30th. We'll see when it comes out. I'm expecting it maybe next week. I'm hoping that it releases. So come on, game nerds. So anyway, all right. So that is, again, Tabanusi Builders of Er. Okay. My number 9 is Korra, Rise of an Empire. Kind of in relation to some of these other games, looking at this one, 9 probably is a little bit high for it. I probably ought to slide that down a little bit underneath, say, Furnace, and move Furnace back up. I really love Furnace a lot. I do like Korra. I think Korra is a fun game. It's not a Civ game. It wasn't really built that way, but I like you roll some dice and you determine kind of what you can do, like how that power, the action, that sort of thing. I like that. I like that you can manipulate things. You can add stuff together. You can do other things to do your actions. You secretly select your 2 actions that you're going to do in your turn. It's really great. I like that there's a military track. I like that you're running up these 4 tracks and that's your goal. That's what you're trying to do. It's pretty great. It's a really good game. It's a really quick teach. It took me about 20 minutes to learn it. It took me about 15 to 20 minutes to teach it. And off we went. I played it a couple of times at BGG. I busted the shrink wrap on it and opened it up and we punched it the first time and then we played it. And people had a good time. And then the next time we played it, I just taught it to some people. I'm like, hey, y'all want to give this a whirl? We played it. And they're like, oh, that was actually really fun. It is. It is a really good game. It's not going to satisfy that itch if you want to go have a whole lot of conflict between you and your opponents. It's not going to do that. It's not that game. It is a track running game, right? You're going to build stuff up. You're building up civilization. You're building up things into that track. You're getting more citizens so you can manipulate your dice, things like that. But it's really good. I got to admit, it is better than I thought it was going to be, and it is a very good game. So that is my number 9. That's Korra, Rise of an Empire. My number 8 is another T game, and that is Tekenu, Obelisk of the Sun. Oof, I love that obelisk and how it turns, and you've got stuff in the shade, you've got things that are in the dark, and you've got stuff in the sunlight. You have positive, really well done actions that are, just, oh, hey, these are the great ones. And these are the others. And then you've got the gods around, and they're all in their different spaces on the map, and you choose your action to go do that. And they're all different, but they're all adding it up. Such a well-designed game. Very well balanced. The solo mode on it is great, but what do you expect? David Turchi's solo is always fantastic. But the solo mode on this game is outstanding. And if you play solo, this is a game that, unlike Feudum, you can learn this game playing the solo mode, and it won't be so frustrating. I definitely would recommend doing that if you want, before you teach other people to play it in your game group, play through the solo. you'll get a really good feel for it. There's not too many things that are so different that it's going to throw you for a loop. So try that one. But Takenu, again, with that obelisk that rotates around, and you don't even need that thing. Some people don't even play with it. They just set it to the side because you got the disc that spins around. And that'll tell you what you need to know. But again, you've got dice that you're drafting and you're pulling off, and you've got these scales over here that as you pull them off in the dark and you pull them off in the light, and you want to be balanced, which is cool at the end of that turn, or at the end of the round. You want to have some balance there, and you get extra stuff if you do. You've got the beginning of the round cards that, oh, I get this thing which gets me more gold, or I get this thing that's gonna... So many pieces, so many parts to this game, so many things you can do to just eat your way into things, to just plus it up just a little bit. Take a look at Takenu. A lot of people feel like the art is just too muted. I love it. If you like Teotihuacan, you're going to like this game. Give Takenu a try. My number 7 is Iberian Gauge. It is 18xx light. You've got, and I say that because you've got company money, you've got your money, you're buying into it, and you're buying stocks in these trains, and you're expanding the trains, and your goal is you have to get to another city every single turn. If you don't get to a city, your stock price drops, and that hurts you. Your shareholders get mad. But when you get to another city, you add them all up, and boom, you get money. Yay, you're going to get extra money. When you get that extra money, and it stacks on and pluses up your stock value, or it pluses up, kind of what it's worth, which is what the name of the game is at the end anyway, is all about the money. So as you're going through these things, as you're doing it, you have an opportunity, if you buy into somebody else's trains that maybe still has a stock open and value, to kind of ruin their company. I'm telling you, there's just so much cool stuff that you can do. It is 18xx light. It's not going to last you 4 hours. It's going to last you about an hour, hour and a half the first time you play, but about an hour. It is totally worth it. If you don't like being manipulated like that, you're not going to like this game. Unless you've got a group that's just all kumbaya, and then, okay, fine, you'll probably be fine. But if there's one bad bunch, right, one bad apple in that bunch, somebody's going to get hurt. And it is, but again, it's a really fun game. The art is cool. The graphic design is great. It's Ian O'Toole. It's a reprint of a Winsome game, but it takes place on the Iberian Peninsula, so Spain and Portugal. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you've played Irish Gauge, it is very different from Irish Gauge. But while it's different, it is not so different that you're just going to be like, I don't get this at all. It's got some elements in it that are the same. It also has things that are completely and totally different. The way you handle money is completely and totally different. The way stock is done is completely and totally different. The way payouts are done, completely and totally different. You know when you start the game, this is what you're doing on the turn. This is what you're doing. This is where payouts are. You know that already. Unlike where it's a choice, to do payouts, with Irish Gauge, where you're kind of digging them out of the bag, and that's what it pays, right? Which is also fun. Okay, that is my number 7, Iberian Gauge. My number 6 is Colosseum. I know, old game. I hadn't played this, and we played it at one of our game nights, one of our Saturday game nights. This is just fun. I love that it is the show that you put on that is the most valuable, is what your score is in the end. This was a really, really good game. I felt like I played pretty well. Not even, oh, it's your first game. I played pretty well. Did I play great? No. But it is a lot of fun. I gotta say, this is a game that I would probably play once a month easily. It really is that good. We played the Days of Wonder edition, not the TMG edition. I really liked the components. I thought they were great. I've looked at the other game, but yeah, this is really pretty outstanding. This is a good game. I can't argue with it. This is just the way that you are trying to manipulate the senators and the emperor kind of moving around the map and where you're doing your show and being able to buy additional favor or additional things to kind of plus up your show. Yeah. And just all the cards. Everybody knows what you're going for. Everybody has the same sheet that tells them, okay, here's how much you got to buy, and here's what it's worth, and here's what you have to collect to go get it. And people can keep you from getting what you want. And that's a pretty cool aspect of the game. But I think what is more intriguing is that if you play with somebody who's played before, they know what to look for in which one are you going for. Because once somebody buys that show, they buy the talent and whatever it is for that show, and they say, oh, I'm going to produce this show. Well, no one else can do that one. That one's off the map. It's off the charts. So if you're going for that one, you better be getting there first. If you don't get there first, well, there better be another one that's really similar in its needs. Because otherwise, you're out of luck. And I like games that do that. I think it's a lot of fun. This was a good game. And that's Colosseum. This was the Days of Wonder edition. That is my number 6. All right, here we go. Top 5. All right, I'm going to probably go through these a little bit quicker just because, I think as we get to these, you've heard a ton about a lot of these, I think. My number 5, may spend a little bit more time on, is Rococo. And, it's probably right off the screen there. But it is right behind me and over my left shoulder. Rococo is awesome. I bought extra coins for it because they don't give you enough ones. So I bought some more coins. I love that game. The art is phenomenal. The art on the old edition was beautiful. Michael Menzel did it, and it was great. The art on the new edition, Tool, it's wonderful. My favorite. But I'll tell you what, the gameplay of being able to hire out the musicians, and that's kind of that's that second tiebreaker, and how many of those gold tailors do I want to get, or how many of the silvers, and just how many, what are you recruiting? Are you going to get materials? Or it's just such a good game. The idea that, some of these dresses or frocks that they're worth more points, so you send them up there to that top section so that maybe they can get out to the roof, and if you can 3x multiply that 4-pointer so that it's a 12-pointer. Or do you take that 2 or 3-pointer and you sell it because it gets you 22 coins? I mean, there's just crazy decisions in this game, and they're so good. The decisions are so interesting. There's not a point, I don't think, in the first 2-3 turns where you're like, oh, I just lost that game. But when you get to the 5th round, you do feel that way. And you sometimes can point back to, I shouldn't have done that back in round 2, But, so the way the game works is you've got cards. Everybody has the same cards in the beginning of the game. You pick 3 cards you're going to play, and those are your 3 cards you're going to play on that turn. If you pick a gold tailor and you play that and you hire out another card, that card comes into your hand, and now you get to play more. It's a really darn good game. And just like in everywhere in this game, the more people that have already done that action, the cheaper it gets for the next person. So it pays to wait, but if you want the best choice, you got to get out there and you got to pay first. And it's just a really cool trade-off, I think. And I really love that. That aspect of this game is wonderful. So that's my number 5, Rococo, specifically the deluxe edition. My number 4 is a game that is right there. That's democr. I got to tell you, I didn't think engineering a German election would be as much fun as it is. It's so good. It is so good. All the different things you do to kind of manipulate it, all the different phases of the game, all the different ways to change your platform or to change what people are voting for or what is important to them, to kind of flip that, to flip what is important and what's being fought over in that election. Oof, you can manipulate something on your very last turn if you're the last one to go, and you have completely changed how that election is going to happen. And all of a sudden now you're winning, and the person who thought they were going to run away with it is in dead last. And I mean, I will say that I played this one at BGG and I ran away with 2 of the elections. I mean, just flat out ran away with it. And I was doing really well, and then I bottom tanked. I mean, just the bottom fell out. Like, a bunch of things got manipulated, and I wasn't even close. And I just, in the last 2 elections, I mean, I don't even remember how many points I generated. It was pathetic. So, somewhere around here, I still have the score. So, I could tell you. But it was really so much fun. I want to play this game again. It took a little while. We did play the long game. There is a short game. I'm sure that's fun, but the long game was really great, really outstanding. I'd love to play this again. But democr was my number 4 for games I played last year. It, again, big, meaty, heavy game, 100% worth it. It is Karl Rove, the board game, right? You are manipulating everything, and it's wonderful, even when you feel dirty. Yeah, democr, my number 4. All right, number 3. Okay, this is the part where we do actually speed it up. My number 3 is Lost Ruins of Arnak. My number 3 is the reason that Dune Imperium was down there at number 16. I like the art better in Lost Ruins of Arnak. I like the gameplay better. I like that track up on the right side where you're kind of manipulating everything to go, your books and your spyglass or your magnifying glass. I like that. I like going out into the jungles and exploring. I like that you have to use, boots and airplanes and steamboats and cars and all. It's just fun. And that you've got those guardians out there that you've got to beat up, or you have to run away and you don't get some stuff. I mean, that game was outstanding. The only thing I would ask is, man, I wish we could put a 5th player in there. And I am excited about the expansion that is coming in 2022. If you haven't played Lost Ruins of Arnak, highly recommended. Lost Ruins of Arnak is a great game. That is Czech Games Edition. Highly, highly recommended. If you haven't played it yet, give that one a whirl. My number 2 was my number 1 for 2021 games, and that is Ark Nova. I cannot tell you how much this game is. I do like it better than Terraforming Mars. It has a lot of the same aspects of Terraforming Mars in terms of the card play and how those come out. It does not have the co-opetition where you're all raising some things up or you're all working towards particular goals. It doesn't have that. And I don't think it suffers from not having that. I think it's a good thing. But what it does have is that action row of cards where the cards in the 1 spot are the action that they do is lesser than the ones in the 5 spot. And you have the different actions on those cards. So if you're going to put out animals, you may need to put them out as a 5 if you're putting out an African elephant, right? It has to be at a 5 in order to do that. If you're putting out a new pen, a new enclosure, the size of what you put out is determined by the level of the action that you're putting out. You can manipulate that level of the action, but still, that is cool. If you've played Civilization: A New Dawn, it's very similar to that in that you use up that action and then it goes back into the beginning and you slide everything forward and everything else becomes more powerful. That is a wonderful mechanic. It is extremely well done. I think it's well done in Civilization: A New Dawn. I like Civilization: A New Dawn. It's not my favorite game from a Civ standpoint. That would be Through the Ages. But it is a really good game. I like it. Somehow I end up playing well at that game. I don't know how, but I do. Nonetheless, I play that game and do well at it. And the thing I like the most about it is that card sliding them around and kind of beefing up that action. Well, this one, building a zoo, does the same thing. I like building a zoo better than that Civilization game. I like the idea of conservation. I like that when your appeal number gets around and passes your conservation number, that boom, that triggers in-game, a la Rajas of the Ganges. Very similar to that as far as the kind of in-game trigger. Really cool idea, really neat way of doing things. Those tags on the cards that allow you to play other cards, the requirements, the milestones that you've got. So much is going to be very familiar if you're familiar with Terraforming Mars, but there are so many pieces of this game that I think are just better. The art's better, the component quality is better, the build out is so much better, the theme on it, I like. It's fun. I love Terraforming Mars. I love the idea of sci-fi. I think this is great. But I do really like the kind of the better feel that you get for this one, right? Arc Nova is outstanding. Not out in the US yet from Capstone Games, but should be coming, I hope, February. All right, my number one game. Number one is new to me. It's been out since 2018. It was a huge sensation, and that is Quacks of Quedlinberg. I just ignored it. It just didn't look like my kind of game. But holy moly, this is a good game. That push your luck and the bag pull and all that. That is great. Running your potion up so that you don't, and hope it doesn't cherry bomb explode. Yeah. That game, Wolfgang Warsch, that year, I think Wolfgang Warsch put out what? The Mind, Quacks of Quedlinberg, Ganz schön clever. I mean, was it the same year that, it's not over there anymore, it's down here somewhere, over there, I don't know, down there, yeah, Taverns of Tiefenthal. What a game, right? Space those games out a little bit, man. But yeah, Quacks of Quedlinberg, unbelievable game. Waiting for those Geek Up bits to come back in stock so I can complete that. I've got all the expansions. I like playing it with all the expansions. I think it's just fine with all of them. I think it's actually a better game when you've got a fifth player in there and everybody's doing their thing. Yes, everybody's kind of playing their own solo game, but I like the rat tails as the catch-up mechanic. I mean, just so cool. Such a good game. Extremely well designed and just fun. Just fun. Is there strategy to it? Sure. Is there Rococo deep strategy or Caverna or Lahav? No. But is it a more fun game than those? Yeah, it is. It really is. Quacks of Quedlinberg, number one game that was new to me in 2021. Thank you for listening. I know it's been long, but this is my top 15, 20 games that I played that were new to me in 2021. Thank you for watching The Board of Damocles. Have a good night.